What's up everyone, today I want to talk about one of the best Druid leveling builds in Season 3. And it's a Poison and Thunder based build that uses companions to boost your damage and spread your poison. And you'll have 2 wolves turned into werewolves, you'll have poison creepers, and all of these things will be spreading your poisons while you focus on casting the new and improved Storm Lightning. Druids have always had a bit of a problem with leveling in Diablo 4, so it's been a little bit slow and a little bit tedious, but we've had some buffs. We've had buffs to Lightning Storm, this now has a bigger AoE and ramps up much faster. We've had buffs to Rabies, and we've got a new aspect, the Virulent aspect, which gives Rabies a faster cooldown so you can apply it more. So let's talk about the playstyle. So you run into a pack, you've got 3 wolves behind you that are turned into werewolves, and you cast Rabies and Poison Creeper. That poisons everything around you. Your wolves will then spread the Rabies as well, as part of one of the aspects. The faster Rabies is spread, the faster it comes off cooldown and can be used again, really ramping up that poison damage. And then while the poison damage is going on, we're casting Lightning Storm. And every time that hits, we gain an additional Lightning Storm. So you're eventually, the whole screen is lightning, poison, and everything just dies. So this is incredibly fun for a leveling build, so I really hope you enjoy it as much as I do, but let's get into it and we'll talk first about the aspects. Okay, so this is the end goal with your aspects. 3 wolves that are turned into werewolves that all help spread your rabies and boost your damage, and then 2 poison creepers flying around, also dealing damage. Okay, so let's talk about the aspects. So, the beauty of this build is you can get it going so fast. Luckily, the things we need for this build are, the main ones are in the season journey. So first up, the virulent aspect. When rabies infects an enemy, reduce its cooldown by a number of seconds. This cooldown reduction is tripled when infecting elite enemies. So you infect something with rabies, the rabies spreads faster with the skill tree ability, and then the werewolves also spread the rabies faster, bringing our cooldown back on faster to cast again and spread again. And it's a really good chain that goes on really, really well. You get this from completing chapter 1 of the season journey, and then what goes along with it is the aspect of the alpha. Your wolf companions are now werewolf companions. Werewolf companions deal increased damage and can spread rabies. And that comes from season 2 of the season, chapter 2 of the season journey. So yeah, you get these 2 in like your first hour or 2 of play and you're good to go. That's the build. It's one of the fastest and easiest builds to get going. You don't need to go hunt dungeons or get elite legendary drops or get uniques. You're just good to go. You're just dealing huge damage from the start of the game. Once you've got these are the Shepherd's aspect, core skills deal additional damage for each active companion, which, you know, is 2 wolves and a creeper. If you have the thing that gives you more, that becomes 5 companions, so big damage increase. They're like they're the big ones I'd go for. You can also get this one here, Night Howler. This is another Codex aspect. Blood Howl increases your crit strike by 7.5%. In addition, Blood Howl also affects nearby companions. You have a lot of companions, increasing all of their crit chance is a big damage dealer. So that's a good one you can get. So yeah, that's the Codex ones I'd be looking for that make this build very easy to get going. Then there's a couple of legendaries you might want to look for if you find them, but they're not needed. They're not required for the build. The Stampede is really nice. Gain 1 additional companion. In addition, your companion skills deal % of bonus damage. This is good because, you know, your companions deal more damage, it's more poison, it spreads the poison faster. It's a really, really nice one to have, and it's one that I would put on as soon as you find it. And then I'd look for the subterranean aspect. Poison Creeper also casts Landslide in a circle around you. This is great. It also deals increased damage to poison enemies. This is like when you jump into a pack and you cast Poison Creeper on everything around you, it just goes and everything just takes a ton of earth damage. It's just an extra burst damage that while you're leveling just helps you move through packs faster, and it helps you get everything killed before the poison wears off. It's really nice, but again, not required. It's just a nice damage boost if you find it. Another nice damage boost if you find it is this one, the Lightning Dancer. Lightning Storm crit strikes spawn 3 dancing bolts that seek enemies in the area, dealing lightning damage. Just a damage boost, doesn't make or break the build, but if you find it, nice to put it on. I'll link down below a full build where I'd put stuff in different places, like where I'd use all these aspects to help you like build it out. That'll all be down below, but yeah, this is a really easy one to get going, and it feels strong from like level 10. It's really good. Okay, so I've reset the skill tree, and let's go through where I'd put the points as we level. So I'd start with Storm Strike. You know, we're already using lightning abilities, so any boost to lightning boosts this as well. But this is just for generating more spirit. I'd take this as well, but I wouldn't bother with a third because we don't really care about the damage from this. As we go down, now we get the damage from Lightning Storm. 5 out of 5 this. take Enhanced, and then I would take Raging. The way this works is you cast a Lightning Storm, the second one casts 2 Lightning Storms, up to 5. Eventually you're casting 5 Lightning Storms. By taking this, you can then preserve it between packs. So like you cast 5 Lightning Storms, you finish your chain, and then when you move to the next pack, your first cast is another 5 Lightning Storms. Very powerful, especially in this build. Then as we move down, the defensives, I would take Blood Howl, shapeshift into a werewolf and Howl, healing you. I would take Enhanced, reduces the cooldown, and then I would take also regenerates Spirit. This is kind of our lifesaver card, so it's like you jump in, you deal your damage, and then you drop in health, you heal up, and you get more Spirit, and the extra Spirit lets us finish off the pack. That's kind of, it's a really good spell. Then we get down into companions, and this is a very, very companion-heavy build. So I would go 5 points in Poison Creeper. This is like a thing that moves around the ground and poisons things, and then when you use it, it immobilizes them and poisons them again for more damage. So this is a huge poison builder. I take Enhanced, so the immobilization takes longer, and that also works with things that are like increased damage when crowd control. That's what Immobilize does, so perfect. Then Crit Strike is increased by 20% against enemies strangled by Poison Creeper. Perfect. You can take this one, but you know, I don't find the fights go long enough that you need an extra 3 seconds, and it comes off cooldown pretty damn fast as well. So that's where I'd go with that. Then we take our next companion, Wolves. Once you've got the aspect, this is 3 Wolves, and then I would take this, increased damage to immobilize, stunned or slowed, or poisoned. They're going to be all of the above. And then when you crit strike, your Wolves gain attack speed. I'd go for this. Now, there is a thing here which says maybe you should take 5 out of 5 here. And I agree, but we don't have infinite points. And given that we're not using the Wolves for their damage, I don't think it's worth it. If you want to take 5/5 here, go for it. But I like these just for spreading the poison. And they spread the poison, they reset the poison, you know, the rabies, and it works really, really well. If we had more points and the passives in Druid weren't so good, I'd 5/5 them. But yeah, I like to keep them 1/5 for this build, but if you want to change it, go for it. I'd do this. Your companions deal 30% bonus damage, and then I would go down here, 2 Spirit when transforming into human form. I'd get all of that. Okay, now we're down here. Rabies. This is our big damage. Again, shapeshift into a werewolf and perform a bite, dealing damage and applying poison over 6 seconds. Infected enemies spread to surrounding targets. You want to 5/5 this. You want to take Enhanced, also increases the lifetime of the disease. And then you want to take one of these. Now you've got, it comes off faster or it spreads faster. Given how we're using this, we're trying to get rabies off cooldown as fast as possible so we can use it again, because it's a big hit every time you use it. So I think natural is better. If you want to try this, go for it. I've tried it a little bit, but I much prefer rabies spreads 50% faster. Okay, then from doing all that, we've unlocked the rest. We don't use an ultimate, but we need to get a key passive. I would go for Perfect Storm. Unfortunately, the ones here just aren't great. There's a few werewolf ones, there's a few things, but we're not really using like full werewolf abilities like Shred and things like that. So I think the lightning one is best, the Perfect Storm. Now we can go back and pick up all the passives. So I would start here, and I would get increase your non-defense resistance to unlock this. You gain 15% damage reduction for 6 seconds after using the defensive skill. The reason we use that so much is because this is like we're in the middle of a pack, we're surrounded by enemies, and our health is low. So we don't just want to heal, we want defensive, like we want damage reduction at the same time. Then I would go up here, and I would get these top ones. I would get Spirit is increased to unlock this. Core skills gain 3% more Spirit, but deal 15% increased damage. This is our Lightning Storm. This is a core skill. So you're getting 15% more damage from your Lightning. This is huge for AoE against like non-elites as well. Then down here, I would put 1 point in this, crit strike against list enemies, to get Great Gate. You gain 3% movement speed while in werewolf form. That's 9. And it persists for 3 seconds after leaving werewolf form. The way we use this build is we use rabies a lot. So we're in and out a lot, and we've got Blood Howl. So you're kind of getting like constant movement speed. I'd start here with the poison ones. We put 1 point in Neurotoxin to slow them. And we don't really care about how much they're slowed. We just care about slowing them so that they have another crowd control on them. And that, works with lots of things that, damage to slowed enemy, damage to crowd control, all that. So anyway, then we take you and your companions gain 30% max it crit damage against poisoned enemies. Everything's going to be poisoned all the time. So it's 30% crit damage. And then crit strikes with werewolf skill deal their damage as poison damage over 4 seconds. That means we're turning even more of this raw damage into poison damage. Quick shift. You put a point in quick shift, and then you would go into here. Upon shapeshifting into a werewolf, you gain 4% damage reduction against elites for 5 seconds. I dump the rest of your points into there. But yeah, this is how I'm building it out. I'm clearing nightmare dungeons with this, and it's great. So yeah, that's the skill tree. Okay, Spirit Boons. So, on the deer, I would take this one. 10% reduced damage from elites. There's not much good here that really helps this build. Max Spirit's okay for burst, but I would take the damage from elites because we don't have much defensives really in this build. Then for the Hawk or the Raven, whatever it is, 5% increased crit strike. We got a lot of stuff in here that gives us increased crit damage to poisoned enemies. This works really, really well. On the Wolf, I would go for this. Crit strikes have up to a 20% chance to reset the cooldown of your companion skills. We've got 2 companion skills, so it's a win-win, and we have lots of crit. So yeah, really, really, really good. And then on the Snake, I would go for this. Dealing lightning damage has up to 40% chance to cause the target to emit a static discharge, dealing damage to surrounding enemies. We don't really play into Lucky Hit in this build in any way, so it seems, you know, counterintuitive to take these. But, you know, if you look at the alternatives, we don't use an ultimate, you know, we don't use Fortify, you know, these are all Lucky Hit down at the bottom. Overpower, we don't really use Earth skills. So compared to what the other options are, these are actually quite good. So if you get any Lucky Hit on your gear, keep it. It's good for this. But yeah, the best things we can take here. Okay, now onto the construct, the seneschal construct. Love it or hate it, that's our season 3 power. Feels like an absolute pile of fluff to me. I don't like it, but well, let's talk about it. Okay, so the things I've been using that feel pretty good, not that I can even notice it happening, is Tempest. Tempest is pretty good, electrically charging an enemy. If the enemy is killed, it spreads and deals bonus damage, and then reapply. With that, Swift works well, increased attack speed, and then resource. So you get primary resource when it first deals damage, and then breaking, it breaks enemy's barrier, and there's a 10% chance to make them vulnerable. That feels pretty good. Obviously, we're like 2 days in, haven't tested everything, haven't got them all to level 3 yet. So this is very early days, limited testing. On the other side, I went Lightning Bolt and I put Poison support with it. So it increases 50% of it turns into poison and a chance to spread poison. Perfect for this build. Then I went for support skill, has crit, and then arcing, so it can hit an additional enemy. I'm not going to rant about them. I'm not going to rant about the construct. It is what it is. Let's move on. Okay, Paragon Board. First up, there's a leveling build. It doesn't need 5 Paragon boards, but I will give you a good start. This build will easily get you to 70. I'm like 60 now at the time of recording this build, and it's dominating everything. I keep pushing the nightmares higher, and it keeps going. And I'm probably going to try and get to World 4 very soon because it's just very, very strong and very powerful. Will it clear Uber Lilith? No. Will it be Nightmare 100? Absolutely not. This is a leveling build. When you want to push high, you need uniques. You need a very, very tailor-made build with lots of defensives. That's not what this is. This is a leveling build that's incredibly fast and incredibly strong. So with that being said, let's give you a very good board for powering through to 70. So we start here, we go up the right side, we take the damage, and we go here. I would just stick a poison glyph in. I went with Bane. Every intelligence purchase gives you poison damage, and then if you fill it, you get 10% chance to deal double the poison damage over their duration. You won't even double this in the time that you're, you know, getting to 70 in my opinion. Then I'd go up here and I'd get damage, and I would go and get the first board. I'd get the poison board on, and I would head straight up to the legendary node here and get heightened malice. While there are 3 or more poisoned enemies nearby, you deal 45% increased damage. Absolutely huge, because everything's going to be poisoned. Everything will be poisoned at all times. You should beeline to this as a priority. Just straight up, turn it this way and straight up to this legendary node. 45% increased damage. Everything's going to be poisoned on the screen. So perfect. Then I would start like working my way around the poison board and getting the poison nodes. 10% damage to poisoned enemies, damage to elites, damage to poisoned enemies, damage to increased poison damage. And that's probably where you will end at 70. It's that easy. I mean, I'm 60 at the time, and I'm going to get 10 more points. Probably not even going to get up there. So yeah, you just want to make progress on the board. I just go poison, legendary node, get some poison nodes, go up to the glyph, maybe in your 70s when you're World Tier 4, move on to an endgame build. That's how I'd run it. Don't want to overcomplicate it and waste your time here, because that you know this build will serve its purpose, and it will serve it very well, and you'll have fun along the way. So that's it. I think that's it for the whole video. I think we've covered everything, right? We don't need to min-max and look for specific things on gear. Obviously, you know, things that are good, like the skills we're taking, poison damage, damage to crowd control, all that stuff's good. But we're not rolling our gear. We're not hunting for legendary aspects. We're not hunting for uniques. We're not, you know, we're leveling. So hopefully this helps. If you like these build guides, subscribe to the channel for more. And also let me know down below, what do you think of season 3? I've seen a lot of negativity so far. So I'm really curious what you think. If you're on a build guide for Diablo, I would assume you're in the pool of people that are enjoying Diablo. So as someone who's playing and looking at build guides, how are you feeling about season 3? Because yeah, I've got mixed feelings. I think some of it's good. The builds feel good, but yeah, some of it feels very lackluster. And I hope we can keep excited for the next 3 months, but I don't see it so far. So I'm really curious what people in the community think. Let me know down below. But that's it for this video. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.